Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. If you guys are enjoying the content, please be sure to show some love. It does really help out with the streams, with the channel. So if you can drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell, as I mentioned, it does really help out. And I do appreciate everyone who's been doing that lately. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel if you haven't done so already. Link to that in the description and also at the top of the chat. Join discussions, chat with other traders, including myself. And of course, find out a little bit more about Elevating Traders, the firm, as well. So make sure you check it out. You can find your discount codes there as well. But guys, welcome back to another stream. FX Wolf, good morning. Welcome. Last week of the year. Well, yeah, last full week of the year. It is indeed. What's up, Karis? Good morning. Hope you're well. Being off the market. Yeah, I mean, well, things are starting to slow down anyway, so might be best to stay off the market, to be honest. I mean, we do see sometimes moves around the Christmas period, but of course, New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Market's very dead. It's shut on two of those days anyway. Boxing Day, not seeing much movement anyway. So the next time we see some bigger moves should be from the 2nd onwards. Might see a bit of movement here and there, but not expecting too much. What's up, Nanad? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Good morning. Good morning, Ahmed. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Elmi, what is up? Good afternoon. Hope you're well. US oil. Okay, so I'll go for USD pairs first. I'll take a look at the DXY as well. And I'll throw in oil in there as well. But yeah, guys, any pairs you're looking at, feel free to drop it down in the chat. We'll discuss, see what's happening, but we'll start with the dollar as always. So last week we finished off pretty bullish, really strong move to the upside, create new highs. I did say it looks like my bias is shifting from bearish to bullish for dollar. And I wouldn't be surprised if this momentum does sustain, does last. And if it does do that, then we could be seeing a massive move all the way back to 113. So we could be looking at a very, very bullish USD for 2025. And that would be great because we've been stuck in a consolidation for a while. So a breakout of this area could mean a nice, healthy bullish trend like we got in 2022 as price was flying to the upside. Hopefully we get something that resembles that all the way back to 113. And of course, the main goal will be looking to buy those pullbacks, buy those dips on the way up. So that's kind of my thinking for now for USD until proven otherwise. Of course, if we have some crazy sell-off somewhere, we break back inside 107, that will definitely make me doubt that bullish bias. But for now, I'm still looking at more upside and more high lows forming. I did say my weekly analysis, I like this area here, brief consolidation. This is where the interest rate happened, big push to the upside, a lot of momentum, and has left behind some nice areas for a buy. Now, will we get there? I don't know. We're looking pretty bullish this morning, strong close than the full hour chart. But this is really where some nice confidence does lie. So it would be great if USD was to have that bigger pullback. Let's make sure we can see that fib. There we go. Have that bigger pullback, tap into 0.5, healthy area of a pullback, find some buys there, and of course, sells in euro, sells in pound, and take it back to the high, and so on and so forth. Like I said, it could be the beginning of a really big move. So more upside I'm expecting this week in regards to USD. So that's really my bias. So taking the information into Euro USD, of course, I'm looking at the opposite. This one as well on the cusp of potentially a massive breakout. I did say my week analysis is not particularly clear or clean because we're still seeing kind of half-hearted close of candles below the zone. And we're seeing some wicks downside as well. So it's not a confident breakout at all. But I do think price is likely to keep falling based on price action in the lower time frame. So I'm still waiting for a bigger breakout to really be confident that price is about to sell off. But I did suggest earlier last week and on the weekly analysis that it could be a nice retest of this area, which looks like price has just missed out on that. I wouldn't be surprised if you were to push back up one more time and go and tag that area this week and then get the sell. That's kind of really my thinking there with Euro USD. Still looking at more downside. You've got lovely lower highs to connect with. One over there, second over there, and potentially a third. And we've got the low down here, which I still think price is likely to go and take out, which hasn't quite done that yet. So pretty bearish in euro. Of course, if I'm bullish in USD, that's what I'll be expecting. Nice zone here, really strong move to the downside. Of course, that's after the news left behind a pretty fresh area of support, which now will be turned resistance. at 1.046. So it would be great if price was to push up one more time, retest that area, find the third lower high in this bearish sequence there. And of course, I would expect price to go and take out the lows. And then maybe this week we see a strong close below and things look very, very different. Talking about a big breakout, maybe you could be onto a big move. So that's what I'm leaning towards for euro. In terms of pound USD, I'm looking at something similar as well. We did just about take out the lows here as well. I did say on the weekly analysis too that if we do get a break of the lows, could be some nice shorts underneath, because there's still that possibility where price could really bounce from that low, maybe form a really big double bottom. That is still a possibility. I'm not quite sold on that move, especially with my bias on the DXY. I do think we're likely to keep falling. We've been pretty consistent with these lower highs, but we have come back into some meaningful support right now, which could turn us around. So I would be careful from that. But if pound was to break the low this week and come back for some retest, I think that could be a nice opportunity, trying to find the next lower high. And I do have some targets lower down, which I think price has a good chance of coming back to retest, which is 1.23400, 1.235, we'll call it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for pound USD. Of course, very similar outlook to euro, similar markets. But if we keep breaking lows, then we're likely going to keep pushing to the downside. And this is the next key target. So that's why I'm expecting price to get there. But first, it would be better if prices, of course, breaking through the low, which is probably why euro looks a little bit better to short than pound USD at the moment. In terms of dollar CAD, this one's been flying high, very, very bullish stuff. I did talk about some retests of this zone, looking pretty unlikely now. I mean, I'm still interested because if I whip out the fib, we line up with 0.618 very well. So as you can see from the low to the high, we've got the 0.618 in that area. That will be a very nice place for a retest, and looking for some entries to take it back to the high. Could be a very nice swing trade. And then I do think dollar CAD's still got a while to go. If I go to the weekly chart, I'm still looking for 1.46, 1.47. I push back into that resistance up there. So dollar CAD to me is very bullish, but I don't think we're going to turn around just yet. We'll see what we can do at these areas. Maybe we do turn around, but for now, I do think more upsides on the card. So if we do sell off for dollar CAD, expecting that to be a higher low, so looking to buy and take it back up again. We've broken through some significant resistance not too long ago. I was originally pretty skeptical with the breakout. I wasn't too sure if this was actually a breakout or potentially a big fake out. And a dodgy close on the monthly chart as well. But momentum has proven otherwise. We're seeing really confident candles to the upside, and this is definitely 100% a breakout. Yeah, we'll be looking at pullbacks and more upside. So 1.415 is still my area of interest, but yeah, looking extremely bullish. In terms of Aussie dollar, of course, looking at more downside, being particularly bearish. Of course, USD last week was so bullish, so all these pairs pretty much melted. But looks like Aussie dollar is likely going to take out these lows here at 0.617. So I did suggest some pullbacks last week to keep shorting. It would be nice if price was to come back and retest the low here. As you can see, we kept up very well with this bearish structure. High, lower high over there, second, well, third, fourth, and looking for that fifth, another correction into that area, lower high, and then continuation. And that's still very much the plan with Aussie dollar. Really strong drop, looking at a bit of a breather, bit of a counter trend move, and then more downside is really the plan. But yeah, very bullish on USD, so that does make me very bearish on all these USD majors. Of course, some pairs look better to get involved than others, but I think Aussie dollar looks really good. New Zealand dollar looks really good as well. Very similar to Aussie dollar in the way they both moved. Very kind of, so they fell off a cliff, slowly falling. They picked up the pace. But again, for New Zealand dollar, I do think we've got some more downside to work with. Back down to these lows here, just below 0.555 is where I do expect price to end up at. So again, looking for some pullbacks. Would be nice if price to come back and retest that low. Again, maybe you don't quite do that. I'll probably keep an eye on this area here too. That brief consolidation, broke through great momentum, haven't come back for a retest since the break. So it would be nice for price to come back and retest that same area. Like I said, we may push up a little bit deeper. I would argue that's the better area to short from anyway, and then get the sells. But that's very much still the plan with New Zealand dollar. Very consistent with the lower highs as well. Then jumping over to gold. Gold, we got a big sell-off, didn't we? And I did speak about some shorts with this one on the retest of this area. Looks like we just about tapped into that area. this morning. This is not a trade I'm in, by the way. This is just something I was mapping out during my weekly analysis. I do think this is a nice area to short for gold. I still do think gold is likely to continue back to the lows at 25.55. I'm looking at this as a pullback for the continuation. We had a really strong drop, breaking the lows here as well after a really aggressive double top, 1, 2. So in my book, I do think gold's like to keep falling. And again, if USD is going to be strong, that's a recipe for more downside for gold most of the time. Yeah, most of the time we'll see more downside. But of course, there are some times where gold does not care what USD is doing. But for now, looking more downside, just about tapped into that zone. How we're looking in an hourly chart. It'd be nice if we picked up momentum a little bit more. But yeah, starting to look a little bit bearish from that area. I do think we can see a bit of a drop. And then, of course, silver is a similar situation to gold. In terms of longer term, I am very bullish on silver. Still looking to try and find some buying opportunities from somewhere. At the moment, yeah, not quite there yet. Still looking at a higher low, but after the move from last week, strong move down, I think price is likely to correct itself, maybe come back into this area, see a lower high, and continue to sell off back to the lows. I think that could be a nice little move this week. Pull back into 30.2, 30.4, and some shorts back into the low. And yeah, that does really kind of set myself up for USD strength this week. Pretty much all my pairs that analyze in favor of USD are all aligned with USD strength, and DXY analysis does point to USD strength as well. So that's really where I'm at with dollar at the moment. In terms of oil, let me take a look at that one as well. So oil, yeah, not a big fan of the price action at the moment. I don't mind shorts around 72.5 because that's kind of the top end of the range. We've kind of got strong resistance up there. So if price was to get there again, I think that would be a nice place to short, especially if we can get a bit of a fake out as well. That'd be a really nice confluence to add to the shorts. But it's proven to be a very solid area of resistance and support in recent price action. So if we get there again, see some heavy rejections, good chance we do see some downside. We've got really nice range low here where prices rejected a number of occasions. So really, when we are ranging like this, you just want to focus up high and down low. Buying low, selling high, trying to avoid getting involved in these areas. And if you do, it's not the end of the world, but you just don't want to hold into trades for too long because it's going to be very messy and good chance price will kind of fluctuate in and out profit, maybe stop you out just to go and hit your targets at the end there. So it's always a tricky situation getting involved in the middle, but up at the high around 72.20, I would say that's a great place to look to short. And of course, if you're long bias, then I would say back down at 66.98 makes a load of sense. But overall, I do think oil is slowly making a move to the downside. It's taken a while, but I do think this wick here is likely to go and be taken out. We've been very consistent with the lower highs here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I do think price is eventually going to continue that. Maybe 5 at the top of the range there. And then we see the push to the downside breaking through the low. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for oil. More downside. It's just taking its sweet time. But yeah, pretty bearish on oil. But because we're in the middle of a range right now, 100% would stay away until we get at least back to the high or back to the low. There might be some short-term buys you can look to take off here. Even if the bigger move is the downside, there might be a nice bounce there, but you can get nice 1 to 2, 1 to 3 maybe, and call it a day. But yeah, that's kind of my outlook on oil. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Himanshu, USD JPY long. Okay, we'll go take a look at that for you, no problem. Ahmed, short position on pound CHF around 1.12517. So waiting for confirmation. Okay, we'll go take a look at that as well. I'm still currently short on pound CHF. Ninad, only position right now. Okay, on D14. So far, so good. Okay, done for the year. I mean, makes sense again. Makes sense again. The market's not going to be moving much. The next couple of weeks, we expect momentum to pick up after the first. So, taking the rest of the year off from a trading point of view does make a lot of sense. To be fair. Dark Sean, hope you're well. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, slow morning. I woke up too late to take it. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. Don't worry, there's always the next one. There's always the next one. But yeah, I mean, if nothing else is moving, there's no point to try and force something. If you caught the trade, you caught the trade. If not, it's on to the next one. But the key thing is not to dwell on the fact you missed the trade and then go and try and force something else later when there's nothing there. Because then instead of taking a potential winner, you then up taking a loser, which is just not warranted. But yeah, it happens. It happens. Andrea, pound USD, okay. Nanad, love sell oil. Yeah, I mean, oil has been steadily going to the downside for a while now, so shorts do look good, but I would wait for price to push back to the high first before getting involved. No problem, Elmi. Happy to help. Hope you are doing good. Okay, so I'll go through dollar yen. I'll go through pound CHF. We'll take a look at the DAX as well and pound USD for Andre. So yeah, dollar yen, you spoke about some longs, and I'm very bullish on dollar yen actually. I do think more upside for dollar yen is likely after taking up the highs. That was kind of my structural high that I said if we were to break and scrap that bearish bias completely and focus on longs, and that's exactly what price did. I was looking for a lower high to develop after this move here. It never happened. Price switched directions and broke the high there. So now I'm definitely bullish, and I think there's a good chance that we do push back to the high at 162 or 160, yeah, around 162, 161. So that's kind of where I'm thinking or expecting dollar yen to make a move to. We also had a really aggressive break and retest on the weekly chart as well. So as we can see, prior resistance flipped and turned into support. So if price can remain above that from a weekly standpoint, there's a good chance we do push back to the highs as well. So there's a lot of arrows pointing to the upside here for dollar yen. And again, if I whip out the fib from the low to the high, we do have a lovely 0.5, which lines up pretty well with this zone here. Brief consolidation before a strong move to the upside. I think that would be a really nice place for a buy. If price was to get back there, see some nice entry confirmations, I think that's a great place for a buy, at least back to the high there. But I do think we're in a position where it makes sense to try and stretch trade further. Of course, it's up to you in terms of how you want to manage your trade, but there's a strong possibility we do get back to the high. So, if I do get into longs for dollar yen, I would be trying to look for that bigger move, of course, managing the trade along the way. Yeah, we try and push for this one because multiple timeframes pointing up, momentum back into the market as well, broke structure to the upside. So it's pretty high chance that we do continue pushing to the upside. So yeah, 154, I would say buys look really good at. The market hasn't retraced enough for me to be interested in the buys right now, but that is definitely what I'll be favoring for dollar yen. More upside and a push back to 162, 161 area. Okay, so we'll go through pound CHF next. You said you're looking for a entry. We'll take a look. Blessing. Okay, yep. Euro yen. We'll take a look. No problem. Hi Elf, what is up? Hope you're doing good. Aussie CAD. Yes, I can. Ready for a big move to the upside. Okay, we'll touch on Aussie CAD as well for you. No problem. Gordon, what's up? Yes, I had a good weekend. Thank you for asking. Hope everything was well with you as well. Yeah, we'll get to pound CHF. So I am still holding that position from last week. I'm still looking for a pretty big move. Hasn't quite hit my area to take some gains yet. I have gone to break even, but I haven't locked in any gains yet because I'm still looking at this support level here at 1.114 before I do that, which is effectively the low of the range because I shorted at the high, looking for at least a push back to the low, secure some gains there. I won't trail stops. Doesn't really make sense to trail stops because we're in a range. Price could very much have a big push back up against me. I don't want to see a position where I get trailed out just before a big breakout happens. So I'll keep stops at break even. I'll lock in some gains at the low and then see if I can look for the really big move back down to these areas here. Again, very high risk reward, very big move. Odds of the trade completely playing out are lower, but if price does break out this low here, that's when I will start to trail stops and be a bit more aggressive. So at the moment, not looking to trail stops because we're in a range, doesn't really make much sense because price fluctuates a lot. But when we do break out, that will give me the green flag to go and say, okay, we can trail now and see if we can take it to the highs or potentially get trailed out somewhere else. but that is still the plan there with pound CHF. So it's still pretty bearish. But Ahmed, you said you're looking for some shorts at the moment. Whereabouts are you looking to take some trades? 1.12517. 1.12517. Okay, so you're looking at some entries at the high there. So around here somewhere. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it because it's in the middle of a range, as I keep saying. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of getting involved in markets that look like this in the middle of the range here. Not because it's not going to be a good trade, it's just that the chances of you getting kind of wicked out, especially in a pair like pound CHF as well, chance of you getting wicked out, just a random move, hit your stop loss is just a lot higher in these conditions. So if I'm going to trade these markets, I want to be right at the high or right at the low, so I can pretty much put my stop loss at a very safe place. Because if price is going to hit my stop loss, it's either going to be a very big fake out, and if it is, I can always re-enter after the fake out is completed, or price is generally breaking out against me. In that case, I don't want to be in trade anyway. But in this case, you could take 2-3 losers before actually capturing the winner, just because of the natural fluctuation of the market there. So yeah, not the biggest fan about getting involved here. Not that I don't expect price to go lower. I'm pretty bearish on pound CHF. I'm selling it, so I do agree with the bias 100%. It's just the location. Not a big fan of getting involved there. I would say if it was to push back to the high, that'd be a much better place to get involved for pound Swiss. But hey, if it fits your criteria, fits your plan, of course, go for it. But the location, just not a big fan of it. I can understand maybe looking for the retest of this zone here. Yeah, it makes sense, but just the conditions aren't particularly great. I think if you were to wait for potentially a break and retest of the low here, that could provide some nice shorts. And I would be looking for additional entries as well. But in the middle, it's just always difficult to get some good trades in. And then, as you said, you were trading the DAX. Okay, so we did get that pullback. Wow, I did not see that. Okay, was that after the Fed? Yes. Oh, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I didn't actually notice that happen. Last time I had a look at the DAX was I think we're just about breaking outside of this, because I don't normally look at the DAX in my own time. So only on streams I do look at the DAX. So last time I looked at it was when someone requested it, which was I think on Tuesday or Monday. I said a nice retracement and a retest of the high will look good. But I also said I don't think price will make such a big retracement. But of course, we had the news last week, which caused a really big sell. And we had a really nice reaction at that level. So nice level, of course, really strong resistance. I would expect it to bounce, but really strong rejection there as well. So there could be some more upside for the DAX. What's the plan with your position? And add 19,740. So you're in somewhere around here. Nice entry. Yeah, let me know what your plans with that trade, because there's that possibility we do swing back to the highs. I wouldn't be surprised at that, really, because if you look at the higher time frames, the market's still very, very bullish, and that looks to me that could be the next high low. 2, 3, 4. It's tagged the 50 there as well, so it makes a lot of sense. So, and I also like the wick there last Friday too. So yeah, there could be a lot more upside there for this one, and we could fly. But yeah, it was a really big sell-off. Kind of forgot we had that. But yeah, really big push. And I do think we could see more upside for the DAX. So I'm liking that one a lot. In terms of pound USD, then we'll go for Euro Yen and Aussie CAD as well. Pending order was activated this morning. Nice. Looking good, looking good. So yeah, in terms of pound USD, this is what I'm looking for. I am pretty bearish on pound USD. I'm not necessarily looking to short it, is because I'm pretty bullish on USD, so it adds up. But in terms of a good short, I think intraday, intra-week is if we can break the double bottom low here, because there's still a possibility we could still bounce at this area. So if we can break through that, that will of course invalidate that potential opportunity for price to bounce, and we're just forming consistent lower highs at that point. and USD will probably be pretty bullish as well. So I would expect us just to go and hit that next level down at that low there. So yeah, I'm very bearish on pound USD. I think there's more downside to be had with this one. And I think if we can break the low, find some retests, find that next lower high, that could be a really nice trade with some decent confidence as well. So yeah, pretty bearish on pound USD. I think prices like to keep falling. I mean, you could try and find some shorts now, but I mean, maybe if it's come back and retest that low there. So come back, retest that low, double top at that area there. Could be a nice little trade, maybe this afternoon or tomorrow, or maybe at some point, whenever the market does make that move. But that could be a nice trade there, keeping up with the lower highs and keeping up with those powerful impulses to the downside. But I like this one a little bit more because at least at that point, we've got that level to our backs and we can use it as resistance. But yeah, pound USD, I think there's more downside to be had with this one. Aussie CAD, the high elf you mentioned. Big move to the upside. Okay, let me go for Euro Yen for blessing first, and then I'll take a look at your Aussie CAD opportunity. So Euro Yen. So yeah, Euro Yen, a market that's again, I was looking for that low high, but I'm no longer convinced. We are still trading at some resistance here, which is where price is struggling quite a lot. So there could actually be a bit of move to the downside. But I still like the buys from this from an intraday level. And a blessing, I know you like to trade in the lower time frames as well. So if I was looking at this on the hourly chart, I'd be looking to see if I can find a bit of a pullback, maybe back to this area here, try and find some buys off that zone. We've been very consistent with these high lows. And my goal would be if I can find the next high low and see if I can trade that back to the high, because we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 high lows in. There's a good chance we put the 7th one in as well, especially after such a really nice impulse breaking the highs there too. I do think price can push on, but because price right now is struggling at that resistance there, it means it's not the best place to be looking to get involved in buys. So I would wait to see if we can get a bigger pullback, retest this area here, and then look for a bit of a bounce there. That's kind of what my verdict would be. Possibly Euro Yen makes a move back to the high here. I'm not quite sold on that just yet. This move still looks pretty corrective. It would be nice if we had a bit more momentum in it, but very, very consistent with the high lows. Still some nice opportunities here on the buy there. Some nice trend line confidence too. And maybe you can look for the pullback and ride that back to highs and potentially further as well. But yeah, from an intraday point of view, I think Euro Yen looks really good for the buys. Just waiting for a bigger pullback. All right, no problem in that. Happy to help. You too, my man. Have a nice holiday. Merry Christmas as well. Okay, so we'll go through Aussie CAD. You spoke about a big move to the upside. So possibly, I'm not quite sold on that yet, but what's making me not confident with the sales is the fact that we're still very, very corrective on this down move. As I talk about numerous times, if a market is correctively falling and doing it for quite a long time as well, it does mean that the move to the upside is pretty likely and a big one as well. So I can definitely see the logic there because price is very corrective. If we see this type of price action happen for a long period of time, you do expect a big move to the upside. But at the same time, I'm also looking at this corrective move, expecting that to head lower. So where's the channel? There it is. I'm also looking at this corrective move and I'm expecting this to head lower as well. So it's a bit of a predicament here. Which corrective move is going to win? Are we going to corrective move up and drop, or corrective move down and push up? And it looks like price is starting to break the low here, but it's doing it pretty correctively as well, which is a bit of a red flag. So yeah, I can definitely understand that. And I think the buys will look good for Aussie CAD if we can see that break to the upside. You can look to try and take some buys down low, a little bit more aggressive, but hey, risk reward looks good as well. If you're waiting for something a bit more conservative, probably waiting for price to give us that first strong up move, break through some highs first, and then try and find some pullbacks after that. This is a bit more conservative move, but you'd be a lot more confident that price is going to give you that big move to the upside at that point. So yes, really correct to move there to the downside typically does mean price is getting ready to move up. But because at the same time, did not mean to do that. But at the same time, we've got that very corrected up move on the daily chart, which gives me not a lot of confidence that we're going to continue flying to the upside as well. That's why I'm kind of just on the sidelines a bit with Aussie CAD. New Zealand CAD looks a lot better. We'll touch on that a little bit later on. But Aussie CAD's kind of just corrective up, corrective down, so it's just not great. I like momentum. I like when the markets are moving quick, and we're just reluctant to see that right now with Aussie CAD, unfortunately. But if you get a strong move to the upside, then yes, I would have to agree with you that we're likely to push up, and at that point, we could see a push back to the highs. So something like this could look like a nice opportunity. And like I said, you can look to get involved at the lows here. It was a nice candle closure on the 4-hour chart. The buys do look good there, a little bit more aggressive, but the risk reward should make up for that if it does play out. So yeah, Aussie CAD, I do agree. If we do see the break first, then yeah, upside is likely. But at the same time, if we see a strong drop, then we're probably going to have a really big sell-off as well, back to the lows here too. So just waiting for more information really with Aussie CAD before setting up my bias. What's up, CS Integrated? Welcome to the stream. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're well. Mo Mind Deck, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing good. Aussie Seed Chef. Okay, we'll take a look at Aussie Seed Chef. Then we'll start going through some of the yen pairs, because I think yen pairs are starting to look very, very interesting now. So yeah, Aussie Seed Chef's an interesting one. I'm looking for potentially a really big break to the downside, because last week it looks like we just about got the candle closure breaking through this support level. And if we're going to break through that support level, I do expect us to come back down to the low of this wick and the low of this wick here as well, because this is the all-time low for Aussie Seed Chef. And we came so close to taking it out, but we just wicked back up. So it tells me that there's a lot of liquidity underneath this low, and there's a pretty big reason for us to continue moving lower to go and take that out. So I do expect us to see more downside for Aussie Seed Chef longer term. Nice weekly candle closure below. Would be nice if it was a bit bigger. But I'm not looking for any break and retest just yet. It needs to be a much bigger breakout than that. I'm looking at these lower highs to the left here, and it would be nice if I could try and catch another one of those highs. So another bigger push to the downside, then the pullback, something like that would interest me. Retest the zone, retest the trend line, catch that full flow high in that sequence, and yeah, we could be on for a really big drop. So Aussie CHF very bearish. Unless we climb back above this level here this week, then that will, of course, put an end to that. But for now, still pretty bearish. Very consistent with the low lows and low highs. And now that we've got that strong weekly candle closure below, that's a sign that says, okay, we're breaking through major support. There's a good chance we continue. So if we can continue that this week, not break back above, because that will invalidate that. But if you continue falling this week, then pullbacks to retest that zone will look good. And it will be a trade where I'll look to try and swing and try and push, because there's a good chance we do go back to the lows there. So yeah, very bearish on the CHF so far. I do think more downside is likely. Gold. Okay, I will say look at gold, and then we'll go to the yen pairs. But let me know if that made sense on Aussie CHF, and if you want me to look at a different time frame, let me know. But yeah, gold looks like it is getting ready for a move down. Talked about some shorts last week and on the weekly analysis with gold. I do think gold is like to keep falling. Really, really aggressive double top. Not last week, the week before. Really aggressive double top there, breaking through the lows here as well. I do think this is a correction for price to continue falling. And this is the zone which I expect price to get towards. So retest of that zone looked good. We've had a rejection already, picking up some pace down the hourly chart. So it's looking good to short. Stops above the high there, retesting that brief consolidation. That's where all the momentum came from the interest rates last week. So looks like prices come back to retest that and possibly see the continuation. So yeah, gold, I'm pretty short bias. Silver, as I mentioned before, I'm pretty short bias as well. Longer term, still very much looking for buys, but for now, I do think we'll probably see another reaction to the downside. I did suggest the retest of this will be a nice place to short, but I don't know if gold might fall this New York session, then maybe silver does too. But I still think that's a nice area to look at to see if we do get there and find some shorts. But yeah, I do think gold is like to keep falling. You're looking for a push to 25.85. 25.85 is back at the lows there. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like I said, I do think gold can probably go and hit these lows here at 25.40. So I'm definitely with you on that bias, expecting a lot more downside. So yeah, gold not looking too good. Is dollar pushing? Yep, it is. Still looking very strong, still pushing to the upside. Maybe we don't see that bigger pullback for dollar to 107. We might have put the higher low in already and might just be on our way already. But yeah, very bullish in USD. I think Euro looks pretty bearish too. Yeah, that one's falling too there. How's pound looking? Yeah, everything's looking pretty bearish at the moment. So, to be fair, we're seeing a bit of movement actually. I thought we'll just be absolutely sideways, but the market is moving a little bit. We do tend to see a bit of movement in December. It's only kind of like from 24th. We even see sometimes movement in the 27th as well. I remember not last year, the year before that, I actually had some big moves on the yen pairs. I remember I was trading Aussie yen at the time, and I caught a pretty nice move on like the 27th or 28th. Was it Aussie? No, it was Aussie CHF. Yeah, it was over here. This sell here. Oh no, that was on the 22nd of December. But we did have a nice drop on the 29th though. So the market's not completely dead. Definitely momentum dries up, but there is some moves here and there. Anyway, so that's kind of what I'm looking at for those pairs. We're going to go through some yen pairs next. So I already touched on dollar yen, looking for the move to the upside. We touched on euro as well, looking for the move to the upside. We'll go through pound yen, its partner in crime. So yeah, pound yen as well. We talked a lot about this one on Friday. Of course, really big move to the upside, bit of a push down because we had the Bank of England interest rate, so pound was pretty weak after that. So even though price was very bullish, it kind of erased most of it, but it looks like we came back to respect structure. I do think this is still a nice buy opportunity, even though we hadn't had much of a reaction last week. I do think there is a possibility we come back for a double bottom there, and we see the upside from that angle. So still very bullish on pound yen. If I drop to the low time frame, very consistent with the high low still. 2, 3, 4, and again looking for that fifth on the double bottom, retest that zone. And of course, if we do get that retest, expecting a push back to the high at 199.7. However, from that same high, we could still go through a pretty big sell. So I'm not ruling out the sells here for pound yen. I wouldn't be surprised if we come up there from a massive double top and sell off. So I'm not going to speak about potentially a push back to the highs here just yet because I'm not convinced. When I'm convinced, then I'll speak more about that. But there's still a big possibility for a sell. However, for now, I still am pretty bullish on pound yen. We've got a pretty nice kind of V-shaped pattern, maybe not the best in the world, but it does kind of fit the mold, which is a pattern that resembles more upside. We've, of course, broken structure here on the left as well. That was our last lower high, which gave us a nice drop to the downside. Price has gone and broken through that now. So this bearish structure is completely invalidated as well. So the chances of us continuing higher is pretty high here. So even if we do sell off here, I would be looking at that as a double bottom, potentially trying to catch that next high low, very similar to how Euro yen is setting up. And then looking for that third test of the trend line, but the fifth high low. No, 6, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 6 high low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I was right. Fifth high low there, and then a push back to the high at 199.7. So that is very much the plan there with pound yen, and of course, pretty much identical to what euro yen is doing. Trying to catch the next high low, retest the trend line, that area too, and then looking for a push to the upside. So with the yen pairs, at least on the lower time frames, I do expect more upside for them. So if you are looking at hourly charts and below, I'll be looking at some downside and just trying to buy it back up again. Basically looking for the continuation of the momentum from last week. If we move over to CAD JPY, it's the one I've been trading for a while. I did close my position last week, so I'm out of that trade. Again, with this one, I do think we'll probably push to the downside before pushing back up again. Not quite convinced that we're about to sell off. I still think on the higher time frames for CAD Yen, the possibility for a big sell is still very much there. I wouldn't be surprised if we push back to the high here. Didn't mean to do that. Push back to the high there, retest that zone, double top it, and have a big sell. I really wouldn't be surprised with that. We're still more or less trading at very key resistance here as well. So it's still a big area for a short. It's practically same area shorted from last time. So yeah, as long as price holds that, the shorts are still valid. However, I was looking for the low high in this area for price to continue down. That lower high doesn't look likely anymore. What does look likely is a higher low for push back up. And then we speak about maybe some shorts there. Depends how we look. If we start breaking through the high, then of course that changes a lot as well. At that point, you can be expecting something like this to fall. So yeah, with CAD Yen as well, dropping to the low charts, I think the buys look good. I suggested two areas on my weekly analysis. Let me drop to the hourly chart. I said either a retest of the high here, which I think might be the more realistic one, because the other area which I do like is this zone here. I'm not too sure price will give us that much of a pullback, because that would be a pretty big drop to the downside. But I think it's a nice place for a buy. Again, quite in tune with the market where we put in these high lows, one over there, second over there, lines up very well with that trend line, connecting the points. Logical place where you can see the third high low. If the market is a little bit too bullish, we might only see a brief correction, something like this, and then be on our way. So I would keep an eye on 108.4 and also 107.6. But I would be bullish kind of intraday, intra-week for CAD Yen. So yeah, more upside for CAD Yen. Similar opportunity to pound and euro. I think probably pound and euro look a little bit cleaner. So I probably would rather want to trade those on the lower charts, but I think CAD Yen will probably follow suit. And of course, if that's the reality, then I do think there's a good chance we push back to the high here at 111.4. But I think for the week, we can just look at the high here, keep it simple. Can always leave some positions to run. But yeah, CAD Yen looking at more upside, keep an eye on the retest of those two levels there, looking for entries in those areas and looking to take it back to the high. If we go take a look at CHF JPY, so this one looking very bullish as well, very strong move to the upside. Yeah, I'm finding it hard to expect a lower high to form here for pushback down. Probably have a greater chance of moving back to the high here now. So again, it would be nice for a retest of the consolidation, price to come back, retest this area, higher low, and then of course Bob's your uncle on a move to the upside. I don't think it's the best yen pair to be honest. I think pound yen looks better, euro looks better, even CAD yen looks better. But it is a nice area for a buy. We did consolidate here for a few days before a really strong move to the upside. No retest of that area, so it's fresh. If price was to get there for the first time, you expect to see a bit of a reaction. So I think it's a nice place to look out for some entries. But I think euro yen, pound yen look better, so I'd rather focus on those. But again, for this one, doesn't look like a lower high is forming, so probably got a good chance of pushing back to the high there at 177. But we have to get that pullback first. At the moment, we're just kind of consolidating on the spot. But I would argue that other yen pairs look a little bit better. In terms of Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, yeah, these guys not great as well, at least for the buyers anyway. Because, again, my thinking with these pairs is that it looks like we're falling at the high low here. So, of course, we've got that big wick, 1, 2, and potentially 3. It lines up. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, we've had a lot of rejection to the downside. You can see all these wicks, big wicks over there, big rejection, strong impulse to the upside, another wick over there, another rejection, big strong move to the upside. So if the market was going to continue lower, then we wouldn't be having such a hard time at trying to push past this price point here. We're seeing a lot of rejection, a lot of wicks here, not really a sign of a market that is trending well. Even our prime move is very, very corrective there as well. So I do think with Aussie yen, we're likely to see a move to the upside. In terms of where to buy, that's where it becomes a little bit difficult, because I think we've only just broke structure here. Oh, I'm on the 4-hour chart. I think we've only just broke structure here So yeah, we've only just about broke structure. So I would have wanted the bigger breakout than that, because effectively, even though we have broke structure, I'm kind of looking at that as a range really. So even though we might kind of see a higher low, maybe on a retest of this area here as our last kind of big sell-off before we push to the upside to break structure, we might see something like this happen and a push up. I think it's just a little bit too what's the word? Too intricate, trying to force something where there's nothing really, because we're just in the middle of a range there. So effectively, a nice buy would be if we can break structure again, put a higher low in somewhere else, and then try and look for the next pullback after that. Maybe at the retest of the high here. If it's a really big break, maybe the retest of this high. But I think something like that would be a lot cleaner, map out the structure better, and of course, looking for the same move. But the thinking is that we've had so much rejection to the downside, it does look like price is about to turn around here. So looking for some buy opportunities in the low charts. Again, aligns with the bias with the other yen pairs, looking at more upside. But I think in terms of quality of structure, it would be nice if you can break the high again and try and find some pullbacks after that. And in terms of targets, there's a really big one here to look at, which is pretty much the low of the range, which is more or less around 99.5. I'll suggest that as a nice target to have, because of course it has acted as support very, very well. And then potentially we can move back to the high there as well. And then, we'll save that discussion for another day. Still a very strong possibility we do see that move. But for now, Aussie yen looks like it's bottoming out of this low, and likely to see a push to the upside. And if I flick over to New Zealand yen, I'm pretty sure we've got the same situation. Yeah, maybe even more aggressively. So you can see all the wicks here, a lot of rejection there, another rejection there, big move to the upside, very impulsive as well. Another massive wick there as well, another big rejection, very impulsive move. So again, it's not a sign of a market that is comfortably trending down. Even if we do have another sell-off, the chances are we push right back up again. Every time we do take out the low, push up, take out the low, push up, probably take out the low and have another push up as well. Not really trending very well to the downside. So that's why I'm expecting a potential higher low here to form. If I zoom out to the daily chart, it makes a load of sense. We've got one over there, second, potentially our third one to push back to the high. So again, expecting more upside for New Zealand yen in terms of targets. You've got the low of the range over here, around 90 or just above 90. I think that'll be a nice trade to have. But again, with this one, still respecting structure. So it would be nice if we can break the high, find some pullbacks, maybe go and retest the high here, and look for some entries above that. Because again, you could probably argue that this is just ranging, equal highs more or less, equal lows more or less, and you don't really want to be trading inside of that. But if we could break the high and find some pullbacks, of course, it makes much more sense there. So yeah, New Zealand yen looks like it's breaking to the upside as well. Aussie yen looks like it's breaking to the upside, putting a higher low in. But across the boards, at least from an intraday level, I do favor more upside for the yen pairs. Some look better than others. I'll suggest the better ones are probably euro and pound. At least that tick my box as well. All the rest look okay. Just not as good. But in terms of direction, I do favor upside for pretty much all the yen pairs, at least on an intraday level. I'm still some of them are still not quite convinced that the longer term move is up, especially for pairs like pound yen and euro yen. So I'll want a bit more information on the higher time frames before I suggest some long-term bias bullish, but at least intra-week, definitely. If I take a look at the JPY basket. Okay, so the JPY basket, we haven't taken out this low yet. If the JPY basket, if we were to go and break through the low here, I think that, that really does mean that we're just going to continue falling, to be honest. So if we were to take out that low, then pretty much regardless what other yen pairs are doing, I would be expecting all the yen pairs to head back to their respective highs, because if the JPY basket heads back down to this low, then all the yen pairs are going to head back to that high, maybe at slower paces or different paces, because of course they're partnered with different currencies. But the bigger move for all the yen pairs will be a continuation to their highs. So if the JPY basket was to go and break through the low this week or just whenever really, that would make me very bullish on the yen markets and expecting them all to push higher. But again, even from an intra-week level, I'm pretty bullish anyway. Strong move to the downside. Price came back to retest some structure here. It looked as if for a brief moment in time, price was going to give us the bounce to continue back to the highs, but never happened. We had the interest rate come in. A lot of wicks formed and an aggressive move to the downside. So in my book, I do think we're probably going to see correction and then continuation back into the low. And it's either we double bottom here and fly, or we crack through, and then I'm completely bullish across the board for the yen pairs, and I'm scrapping every bearish bias I had. And that's a very important part of trading as well. You know, it's important to have a bias and be confident in the bias, but also not confident that it has to happen, because it doesn't, and have things in place that will make you change your bias or shift your bias. Like, for example, if this low breaks, I'm no longer expecting up a downside for the yen pairs. I'm just going to be looking at buys, and looking to try and swing the yen pairs bullish. But for now, anyway, I think a nice correction to this area could look good this week. It creates some resistance just above us here. Market's looking pretty flat. Might see a cheeky move to the upside here. Go and test that area and then get a nice little sell. And of course, if we take that into consideration, what the other yen pairs are doing, with euro yen, for example, get a nice move down, buy up. I'm not too sure if we'll head all the way to the zone, but it would be nice if we did. So nice push down and then some buys there. Looks like we really had a retest of that zone, but looks like we're failing at the highs there too. So a bigger sell-off is probably warranted. Let me talk about some buys later on. And if I take a look at the Japanese index, that's probably looking strong as well. Okay, no, it actually had a pretty big sell-off there. When did that happen? Okay, Wednesday 11th, last week. Okay, so yeah, if this one can break the high there, then that of course be a very strong sign that the yen pairs are pushing. But of course, this one has a natural uptrend anyway. But if we were to break the high there, that'd be a strong indication that the yen pairs are going to be strong as well. But I do think at this rate, that's probably our likely move anyway. Strong move up after this big wick. I think we're likely to go and push and make a new high. So yeah, with the yen pairs, looks like my bias is slowly shifting. I wouldn't say shifted yet long term, but at least intra-week, I do think we'll see some more upside. So out of the yen pairs, pullbacks on euro yen and pound yen look the best. So I'll keep an eye on those areas. For some longs, probably say entries maybe hourly time frame and below. A 4 hour, probably not looking at the best risk reward there. And definitely for pound yen, I would say hourly and below, because risk reward, I don't know, maybe you can find something there, to be honest, but you will refine it better on the lower time frames and get some big moves to the high there as well. And then we see what we do at 199. But if the yen basket breaks, then yeah, I will be looking at push all the way back to this high here for pound yen and just looking at the pullbacks and keep buying. And that's the beauty of risk reward, because you don't need to worry about winning every single trade. If you're looking at trying to stretch your trades further, you don't necessarily need to worry about every single trade, because there will be trades that you just hit the bigger winners, and then they will really make really big moves in your equity curve, in your P&L, and those will be the main driving force of your trading. But yeah, that's what I'll be looking at for pound yen. So in terms of my watch list this week, it is focused a lot with CHF, a lot with yen, and a lot with USD. Out of the USD markets on my watch list, mainly is USD CAD, because I'm not too sure Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar will pull back. And even if they do pull back, the high off, yes, I will take a look at natural gas for you, and just go through my watch list. Even if they do pull back, it might not necessarily hit my requirements, because I'm looking at pretty deep pullbacks. Even if they do, it'll probably be pretty shallow. So dollar CAD is definitely my favorite USD pair at this moment in time. I think Euro USD could be there soon if it does have a pretty big breakout of the lows, but I'll probably wait till the new year before that happens. But yeah, dollar CAD, really nice area here, 1.415. I'll love a pullback into that zone. I do not expect it to happen this week. But it's definitely on the watch list and something I'm keeping a close eye on. So we'll keep Keep focused on that one, but very bullish on dollar CAD. In terms of the yen pairs, like I said, I do like euro yen for some pullbacks on the higher low. And I also very like dollar yen, but I don't expect that pullback to happen this week, but I'm very focused on that opportunity. Pull back into 154, looking for a higher low in this area. Hopefully tag the 50% of the fib as well. And again, looking to try and swing that back to 162, which is back at this high here as well. So very bullish on dollar yen. This one's breaking through the high aggressively. So this is already giving me the green light to try and really swing the trade. So hopefully I can find the pullback. And the beauty about dollar yen as well is that not only is it yen pair, it's also a USD pair as well. So because I'm bullish on USD, I'm buying USD here, I'm shorting yen. It kind of ticks both boxes together very, very nicely. So I'm just hoping I can get a decent pullback for this one and hopefully ride it back to the highs. But dollar yen's on the watch list, dollar CAD's on the watch list, and New Zealand CHF, it does pull back. I will look for the opportunity to short it because I'm expecting a push back to the low. So back to this low here as well. I'm keeping a close eye on that one. Mainly more on the Aussie CHF because I think that's a more realistic opportunity this week. But yeah, New Zealand CHF, if I get another pullback, still looking at another lower high forming. Maybe come back, respect some support around here. Oh, there we go. Respect some support, which will be time resistance. Maybe even a deeper pullback to this zone. We'll have to wait and see. But looking for that next lower high and a push back to the lows here. We've cleared some major support from New Zealand CHF. If I expand to the weekly chart or daily chart, we've broken through some major supports. So now that support is completely broken through. I do think the next big area we come back into is this wick low. So just looking at shorting New Zealand CHF, staying aligned with the market structure. Numerous timeframes are bearish. Monthly, weekly, daily, all the higher timeframes are bearish. So as a swing trader, it's a no-brainer. I want to be selling the market and trying to hold my trades in that direction. And yeah, pullbacks there. But Aussie CHF, since we just got the breakout last week, this is something I'm going to keep a very close eye on. Again, pretty much the same opportunity as New Zealand CHF, but now that we've broken through that support level, we're going to drop to the 4-hour chart, find some pullbacks into this area, find the next lower high. Again, looking at a really big sell to the downside. So both of them are pretty much the same, but because pound CHF is now break even, I'm not too worried about getting to another CHF pair. Only situation is if I do get the opportunity to find a re-entry for pound CHF on the retest of the breakout, then of course I wouldn't take Aussie CHF or New Zealand CHF because I'm now doubling up on the CHF pair. But if I can get to this break even as well, and Aussie CHF and New Zealand CHF is still presenting opportunities, then of course then I'll take it. But yeah, I don't mind about getting another CHF pair, and I'll also keep an eye on the break and retest there. So very much looking to buy yen pairs, very much looking to sell USD markets, USD pairs, but buy dollar as well. And then of course looking to sell CHF pairs. And that really is my focus. Okay, we'll take a look at natural gas for the high ELF. Pretty sure I've got that saved. Yeah, there we go. NG. So, okay, very bullish. Wow. Breaking through the highs there as well. Did not expect that from natural gas. Have a look in the higher time frames. Okay, we might be in for maybe another one of these moves potentially. Something like that before the big sell. But yeah, really strong move there. Breaking structure as well, because this was a lower high, lower low. Now he's going to break through that, make another higher high. So I think now that we've done that, I would be starting to get ready for some selling opportunities. If we were to form some bearish structure, let's say we form some equal highs there, lower high, and then looking to short that, I think this could be a nice place to sell. I would wait for some structure to develop before I look to buy again, because this is a really big move. It could easily be a situation where we push up just to sell off. But if we are going to push up to continue, then let's put some structure in, and then we can look for the next higher low and keep buying, maybe in the retest of some structure like that. So I would wait for some more higher highs and higher lows to really confirm to me that this breakout is the real deal and it's here to stay. At this moment in time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just for price to kind of sell off and then retest some structure, and then we could be on for a really big move back down. So with natural gas, strong break at the high. Let's see what price does. When price does that, I normally kind of wait and see what price is going to do, because it's either two things. If price breaks a very major significant high, it's either two things. It's either price is just going to take out that high to reverse, because it's a major high. There'll be a lot of liquidity above there. Sometimes price takes it out to reverse. And if it is that situation, price takes out the high to reverse, we tend to push up, come back down pretty aggressively and put some lower highs in. And those are really good shorts to be looking to take in the opposite direction. If price is generally breaking through this to continue higher and continue the trend, then I want to see price push up, steadily move back down, and then continue again. And that'll be a nice sign that, okay, the buys are here to stay. Then I'll be looking for the retest of the high on the next pullback, and then looking to continue buying that. But not convinced right now. Not convinced. I do think we'll probably push up to put a high in. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's back at the high there. Then we go for a pretty big sell. But yeah, not much to do right now. Just after taking fresh highs like that, I would see what price does next. We've got a bit of a gap there, which you can go probably fill. So I don't know, maybe if you're in an intraday time frame, probably looking at trading that gap there. But in terms of swing bias, I would wait for some more development before putting something forward there, because I'm not too sure if this is the real deal or if price is looking for the fake out. Next few days should map that out. But yeah, let me know what time frames you're looking at the natural gas on. I would imagine probably intraday time frames. And yeah, if you are looking at intraday, I'll probably imagine you're looking to try and fill that gap. And just looking at previous price action, does look like natural gas does fill the gap quite a lot. We did it over there. We did it over here. We eventually did it there. Did it over here as well. Did it over here as well. Did it over there. So it looks like the gap does get filled majority of the time. And if it doesn't do it instantly, we'll come back and do it. I mean, this gap hasn't been filled though. But yeah, of course, not every gap's going to be filled. It's not 100%, but it would be pretty high that gaps do get filled here. So yeah, I think from an intraday standpoint, I think a gap fill makes a load of sense. But from a swing, I'll wait for more information. By the way, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you do hit the bell as well, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And of course, make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. And you can find updates there for Elevating Traders, the firm. You can join discussion with other traders, including myself, share ideas. And of course, you can find your discount codes there as well. So make sure you check it out. But if you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do appreciate everyone who has done that so far. But yeah, that's really my main focus. But I don't think I'll be looking to take any more trades between now and the end of the year. My main focus, like I said, dollar CAD, dollar yen longs, and a couple of CHF pairs I'm looking to short. So it's only about 4 or 5 pairs I'm interested in. And we need some pretty big moves for those same trades to actually set up as well. So I don't think they'll form this week, maybe next week out stretch. And then of course from next week we've got the 2nd of Jan and then onwards. So it's probably nothing till the end of the year for me. Again, I'll wait and see though. I'll wait and see, but market is going to be a bit slow anyway. But I will look to hold my trade through the period though. It's well into profit, stops a break even, so the risk is very, very low for me. If it was at entry, then maybe I might pull the trade just because gaps can occur and because it's being slow. A bit of a gap, spreads widen, could get taken out unnecessarily, but because we're well into profit here, stops a break even, not too far away from my first zone. I'm not too worried about holding this one over Christmas or over next weekend, over New Year's if I have to as well. I wouldn't mind doing that. But yeah, the plan is to look for more downside. I'll book some profits when we get to the low of the range. And hopefully I can look to find some additional entries on the retest there, which was actually my original plan. I was actually waiting for the break of this channel here, waiting for the break of the range, then look to find some shorts on the retest. But we never got the breakout, and price pushed back to the high. And it did fit my criteria, fit my confirmation of what I was looking for, and it gave me a better risk reward as well. So instead of waiting for the breakout to happen, I said I can always look for having an entry here. If it works out, the risk reward's very high. If it doesn't, I'll take the loss and move on. Of course, price didn't respect in the level, and then we pushed down. So let's see if we can continue this momentum, take up the lows there, and then find some new entries. But we're going to take a look at some of the crosses because we haven't actually gone through them yet. I'll start with the CAD pairs. We did touch about Aussie CAD, about the corrective channel, and if price does break through that corrective channel, there could be some really nice opportunities. Oh, if I can spell Aussie CAD correctly, there we go. So there could be some really nice opportunities. However, I would wait for price to break out first. I think there's still a pretty big possibility for a big sell-off because if you look at the correlation between Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and then Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, they both tend to really go in the same direction. And I think Aussie dollar is likely going to keep selling off. I think New Zealand dollar is likely going to keep selling off as well. So I do think Aussie CAD will probably sell off too, but it's just not quite there yet to be shorted. It's still way too corrective in this bearish channel here. So as I said last week, I want momentum to really pick up, see some strong moves to the downside here, and then I can be looking for some pullbacks afterwards. Because again, I don't need to be the first one into the trade. If we are going to sell off back to the lows, there's still a long way to go. I don't need to be to get into the first pullback necessarily. So if I can see a strong move down, that will confirm to me, okay, momentum's back. We're not going to break to the upside, and shorts are here to stay. Of course, if we don't do that, then I'm going to have to back off and just see what price does next. But New Zealand CAD, which I said looks a little bit better, does look like a lot better because momentum's picked up a little bit more with this one. And we've, of course, broken through structure on the daily chart here, taking out this low. So in terms of New Zealand CAD, again, same channel, very corrective on the daily chart, slowly moving to the upside here. So as you can see, higher highs and higher lows, another push to the upside. Does look like price is starting to break structure now, break out that channel, and of course break through the low there too. So two birds and one stone. Now I'm looking for price to go and hit this low here as well. So same ideas as Aussie CAD, big corrective channel to the upside, looking for it to break and sell off back to the low. New Zealand CAD, same situation as well, except this one's broken through structure. So this one looks better. So again, I wouldn't mind getting into some shorts here. Let's see if we can get a bigger pullback. I don't mind a retest of that range there. Nice consolidation there. We can line it with the 50. I think that's a nice opportunity. Not my favorite opportunity, which is why it's on my watch list, but it's a much better one. And some shorts in that area. Find the next lower high. And I should go back to the 4-hour time frame. Map out the lower highs. We've got one over there, second, third, and then looking for the fourth, and of course a really big sell from that. So yeah, New Zealand CAD, I do think more downside is likely. If we can keep up the break of structure and slowly push back, we'll probably form a lower high and keep falling. And then the beauty of it is if this is going to fall, this is where I expect price to move into. So you're looking at a very big risk reward, but of course I'll keep an eye some of these areas here too, because they can definitely reject price and see a move against you. But overall, I do think price is likely going to keep falling for New Zealand CAD. If I go take a look at the other CAD pairs, pound CAD, this one I did talk about some shorts for pound CAD this week because we are having a lot of trouble at this weekly zone. Let me go to the weekly chart. We're having a lot of trouble at this weekly zone. So as we can see, a lot of wicks on the weekly chart, wick. So the market's having a lot of trouble trying to break through this area, especially last week's candle. Last week's candle, massive wick to the upside, piercing through, and the market pulled all the way back below. So that for me is a key indication that price is struggling and that we're likely to turn around as well. So what I'm looking for this week's price action is a wick to the upside and then another sell-off. So basically, the plan for this week would be looking for some upside, looking for the market to be a bit stretched to the upside, provide that upper wick, and then we're looking to short the upper wick, expect the market to close bearish for the week. So if we do push up and then you short, expecting it to pull back down and close bearish for the week. So by the end of the week, should be into some profit, and we should close somewhere around. I think this looks like a nice target, some nice support in this area. If we could push up and then sell into that, I think that makes a load of sense. So let me draw that back in there. So if I drop back to the 4-hour chart, something like this, nice spike to the upside, sell back down to the low. That's kind of what I'll be looking at. You got a nice kind of head and shoulder pattern here kind of forming. So of course you got the left shoulder over there, head, and of course the right shoulder. So a nice push to the high, reject it, then a move back down. And that all stems from price having a really hard time trying to break through this area here. And of course, that being a fake out from last week. So yeah, very bearish on pound CAD and very, very bearish on Aussie CAD and very bearish on, and bearish on Aussie CAD, not very yet. It's still need a bit more from that one, but I'm pretty bearish on New Zealand CAD. So it does look like potentially CAD strength could be here to stay. And those pairs could be heading down. And that looks like a nice opportunity to me. And then for EuroCAD, I'm not a big fan of EuroCAD. Can't really get a good crisp read of it, of what price is trying to do. I mean, I'm looking at the bigger picture, which looks like a big range to me. So of course you've got the equal highs over there, more or less equal lows down here. I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. More or less equal highs up there, equal lows down there. So overall, the market is just stale, moving sideways, not really doing too much. So if this is just price ranging, we're likely going to come back to the high of the range again and possibly go through another big sell-off. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for EuroCAD. But is that something I want to trade? No, don't really have too much edge there. Not much momentum, no real trend at play either. So it doesn't really mean I will be looking at any opportunities for this one. And again, the big importance of trading is your trade selection and your pair selection, especially if you're kind of not like on the lower time frames. Because if you're scalping and day trading, you probably have 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 4 pairs you're focused on. If you're swing trading, looking at a wide range of markets, it's very, very important that you pick your trades well and pick the markets you're looking to trade well. And it all stems from understanding your system and what makes a good trade for you. Some people thrive off more choppy conditions. Some people thrive off more trending and a lot more volatile conditions like myself. If the market's moving a lot, that's great. If we're seeing trending markets, that's great. I know those conditions there is what's going to give me my biggest moves and give me my best trades. So a condition like this is just like not going to do it for me. Maybe I do catch a nice move, but it's a big maybe. But when we're trending very well, like some of these conditions here, great. If I do catch a nice lower high somewhere, it's a situation where you can really ride that down and milk the trade for all it's worth. So yeah, with EuroCAD at the moment, staying away unless we kind of break out, then okay, we can do something with that. Otherwise, nah, I'll stay put. But yeah, with EuroCAD, maybe we do keep pushing back to the high. Solid resistance there. We are starting to put some higher highs and higher lows in. So we drop back to the 4-hour chart. We are still putting some higher lows in here. Might see another push, double bottom, and then be on our way. That could be a nice little trade there. Map out the bullish structure. See, we did break structure on our left there. And now looking for the continuation of that. So that's kind of where I'm at with EuroCAD. Hey, what's up, Ben? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing good. Merry Christmas Eve. Yeah, definitely. Merry Christmas Eve. Says to die, what's up? When's discount going to expire? Looking at January for expiring the discount code. So yeah, if you want to take advantage of it, make sure you use it. No, I did not catch GJ longs. I'm currently break even though I haven't really looked at getting involved in GJ. I mean, the buys were looking pretty good because we did discuss it a lot last week, but because I'm only kind of looking to take trades on the 4-hour chart, it does mean that I need bigger moves for me to actually get a decent risk reward in there. I think pound yen, it looks good on the hourly chart and below. 4-hour chart, risk towards a bit skewed there. But if I drop to the hourly, look, my bullish engulfings here could be a nice little trade back to the high there. But yeah, I think the buys look good. I mean, at the moment in time, we are quite corrective and moved there. So I think there's a good chance we do come back down for another retest. In that case, if you do get stopped out of break even, you can always look for another re-entry and then see if you can take it back to the highs. But yeah, I think pound yen buys look really good. Like I said, just a little bit too minuscule, if that makes sense, for the time frames I'm looking to work on. If I was looking to enter in the hourly, then yeah, but 4-hour chart, I need to look for bigger pullbacks and bigger swings if I'm going to get involved with these type of moves. But I do expect more upside. I'm very bullish on the market, and I do think we can push back to 199. But yeah, if we do come back now for another retest, because we're looking pretty bearish at the moment right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do come back for a double bottom, because this first move hasn't really seen much momentum. It's almost like a pullback, if anything. So we might come back down and retest the same low. Like I said, you can always look for re-entries there to get back involved if you are stopped out break even. But yeah, I do think pound yen is likely to keep pushing. 199.7 is where do you expect the price to get towards. But I'm pretty bullish across the board for the yen pairs on an intra-week point of view. Everything does look pretty bullish to me. Long term, I'm still not quite there yet. As I talked about earlier, long term, are we going to see a push back to that high? Possibly, of course. But I wouldn't be surprised if a double top forms here. I did say if the JPY basket goes and breaks through its low. So if the JPY basket breaks through this low, then yeah, I'm going to be very bullish. Very bullish with the yen pairs. And I'm expecting to push all the way back to the low here. So very bearish on the JPY basket, but very bullish on the yen pairs in general. I didn't realize that it had the basket listed of what pairs it looks at: Aussie yen, CAD yen, pound yen, euro yen, dollar yen. So it doesn't take into consideration CHF JPY or New Zealand yen. I mean, in general, that's not such a big deal, because if you're going to take into consideration all of these pairs, then you're pretty much covered. But I didn't know it didn't have New Zealand or CHF JPY as well. But anyway, if we do see a strong break of the low, I do think pullbacks are likely, and we're going to see some more downside there. So very bearish long term, possibly with the yen pairs, and that does really just change my whole bias with them, because I've been so bearish with the yen pairs, looking for a big sell-off, but that just hasn't been the case. And if we keep pushing down, break the lows here, then I find it very difficult for us to see a move back like that. Of course, it could happen, but if we keep breaking the lows, it's not a sign of a market that's going to push the upside, especially if we break aggressively. Then yeah, I'm going to be looking at a push back down there. And of course, that will mean for pound yen, a push right back to the highs. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. Push right back to the highs. So it's going to be a very important next 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe month, in terms of what my bias will be. But yeah, with the USD pairs, it looks a little bit more set than the yen. To me, it looks like dollar has chosen its direction, breaking through the highs. It wasn't such a beautiful close last week above the high. Let me move this out of the way. It wasn't such a great close above the high. Still a little bit half-hearted, bit of a wick to the upside there as well. So not convinced, but it does look like from the lower time frame structure that we are going to break to the upside. And if we can get slightly more convincing break above the high here in the next 1 or 2 weeks, then I do think the next big move for the dollar, for DXY, is all the way back to 113. So for 2025, Could be like looking at a very bullish USD and just looking to buy those pullbacks on the way up. And if that's the case, that is wonderful because that's kind of what I'm looking at for the dollar. A nice trending market condition, just like we had in 2022. Let's see if we can get that back again. And of course, if you flip that over to Euro USD, could be looking at a really big sell back into 0.96. And a lovely sell there as well. But the key thing with Euro USD is that we're still trading at some major support on the monthly chart. So I need that to kind of break as well. Because last month's price action, we were very bearish, but we left behind a pretty big wick. Did expect to see December to push up, but looks like we're going to close. I mean, still got 8 days left, but we're probably going to close bearish. I don't think the last 2 weeks of December we're going to see a lot of momentum, at least enough for that to push bullish anyway. But you can still see that on the monthly chart. We're coming into some major support right now, major support where we could bounce from. So I need price to go and break through that level, and that will open up the door to the dollar, pushing that back down to 0.96, 0.97. So there is a possible really big move for these USD pairs, but I need a little bit more before I really get involved in that. And I'll be looking for the breakouts and some shorts if that is the case. Hey, what's up, Mort? Excuse me. Welcome to the stream, my man. I'm doing good today. Hope you are doing well too. Hope you had a good weekend. Ben, what's your buys for gold? Still pretty bearish. I'll go take a look at gold now. Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. Because we haven't seen much. I think for 2 years running for Euro USD, I think we've been dramatically underneath our average pip range. Yeah, I think for 2 years running, we've been dramatically under the average pip range for Euro USD in a year. So it's been very tight price action the past couple of years. Still opportunities, of course. There's still been some big moves in Euro too. But Euro USD on average is supposed to be a bit more expansive than that, have bigger moves than that. So as well. So what that means, if we're underperforming for 2 years in a row, that means you're eventually going to expect a bigger move, a bigger year to compensate for that. So the average does remain at whatever pip range. I forget what it is. I need to look into that again. Yeah, I haven't seen that much movement in the past couple of years. So I do expect, if not next year, then the year after that, us to see some moves. Anyway, so Euro USD could be onto a big move. In terms of gold, I do think we are going to see some more downside for gold. Again, I'm not necessarily looking for anything crazy. I think, well, gold for me, I'm still always expecting price to swing back to the highs. Swing back to the highs at 27.92. That's still the goal, but based on how things are looking, doesn't look like that's the next likely move. I would, strongly argue that the next likely move is probably going to be a push back to these lows and suddenly to push back up again. So I do expect gold to see some more downside, at least back to the area here. I'm not necessarily saying we break through that. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if gold double bottoms here, actually, just like we double top there, double bottoms here, and then reverses to go and hit the high. I think that's a pretty reasonable shout. But at least from an intra-week standpoint, at least my bias for this week anyway, is very much a push to the downside. It looks like we've kind of had a break and retest of this area. So really strong support. A couple of weeks ago, we broke through very aggressively on Wednesday, and it looks like price is coming back to retest that area. And if I drop to the 4-hour chart, it looks like we're also retesting this brief consolidation there as well, which you just about tapped into this morning, I believe. And now price is having a really aggressive sell-off there as well. So, yeah, I'm very bearish on gold. On my weekly analysis, I did touch upon a retest of this zone for some shorts. So we just pinched the high there. I do think we can see a move for gold back into 25.84. Then possibly a move back down into the low here at 25.50. So, yeah, very bullish in gold. Bullish in gold. I am very bullish in gold, but just longer term. Very bearish in gold shorter term, though. And like I said, we can speak about the buys when we get there. Maybe we do form a big double bottom to reverse, but not convinced on that just yet. Just we'll see as we get more information. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold. $2,400 before new highs, in my opinion. 2,400. Where is that? 24. Ooh, okay. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, to be fair. I think when I look at the higher time frames, like particularly like the weekly and the monthly chart, it makes a lot of sense because, of course, if you look at gold, big move up, consolidation, big move up. We haven't really formed much support resistance in that time. Of course, there's some minor dojis there, but not a lot. This is really where we had a bit of a pause. So that's kind of the next meaningful area for gold. So should we break through 25.50, which is that low, that's the next big place I would expect price to get to before maybe seeing a flood of buyers come back in. Go to the monthly chart. We just have bullish candles, bullish candles, bullish candles. You can see a brief doji there on the monthly chart. So again, from a monthly perspective, if we were to retrace, that's kind of the area you expect us to come back into before pushing on again. So yeah, 2,400 will make a load of sense. I'll see what we can do at the low there, because if you break through that, then yeah, I'm very much on the 2,400 bandwagon. But at the same time, you could respect that push up. Maybe not back to the highs, but it could still be a decent buy whilst we're there. But yeah, I think we are likely going to have a pretty big sell before we do, start seeing a bit of a trend form to the upside again. Same thing with silver as well. It looks like silver might join that party as well. More downside before a big push up. Okay. Yeah, very, very true. Very true. More. As we said, markets are going to be a bit slow. I mean, last week I would say was the last kind of proper week of the year. In terms of trading anyway. Going forward now, it's going to be a little bit more. Well, it's going to be less volume, less volatility, but at the same time, there will be some moves here and there. It's not going to be completely just dead. There will be moves here and about. But taking the rest of the year off, many traders will be doing that, and it's going to make sense to a lot of the bigger participants will be looking to close for Christmas and then reopen after New Year's Day. So yeah, if a good opportunity does form, I'm really, really with you on that. If a good opportunity does form, I'll look to take it, of course. But the pairs I'm looking at, buys in dollar yen, buys in dollar CAD, shorts some pound CHF, shorts on Aussie CHF, shorts on New Zealand CHF. I don't think they'll form until after Christmas anyway. So it's probably a situation where I don't really have to worry too much, because I don't think I'll be doing much with the pairs I'm looking at. Ben, okay, might trade some BTC over Christmas. The channel, man. So if you get bored, you can always trade Bitcoin. I mean, true. I don't think Bitcoin closes on Christmas, does it? I don't think Bitcoin's closed on Christmas. So yeah, I mean, fair enough, mate. If you're not going to be, if you're getting a little bit bored, with your family, you can always whip open your trading platform and stick a couple of trades in Bitcoin to excite the day some more. But yeah, I mean, we were looking at Bitcoin a lot last week, and it was selling off very hard, but it actually did kind of find some feet, and it pulled back pretty aggressively there on Friday as well. So with Bitcoin, it's an interesting one. It's still very corrective, doesn't look great at all. Doesn't look great at all in terms of this ascending channel, which we did break through. We're kind of latching on to support for dear life right now. Yeah, maybe we do form some support here and push up. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I also wouldn't be surprised if we go for a bigger pullback as well. I would say if we were to break through the floor here at 92K, then the next area of value to me would be back down around the 74, 73K mark. But at the moment, we're doing a pretty good job at holding on to support. So maybe we do find support here. But if we were to break through, see a strong close below, then I do think we'll have a big push down. Yeah, the weekly close wasn't great. Weekly close, it could have been a lot worse though. At the time when we were looking at it on Friday, I think price was just bleeding. We didn't have much of a wick to the downside, um, but it still closed pretty bearish to be honest. So it's not great. But I would say there is a lot of support because you can see in the weekly chart as well. There's a lot of wicks here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the market is having a lot of trouble trying to break through that area. So even though there's a strong close, if the buyers do mean business for Bitcoin, we might still hold support here and push up. If we were to break through this zone, then yeah, I don't see much holding up Bitcoin after that until we get back down to this area. So it's either make or break, really, in my opinion. If we can hold, it could be a nice buy there. And we can see the next wave, and we can talk about Bitcoin back to all-time highs and further. But if we see price bleed through that, then yeah, I think we're on a wave down. But then even again, it might just be a pullback for price to then go and take up the highs again. So it's not a situation where I expect us to sell off completely. It just might be a bigger pullback, which I wouldn't have expected, to be fair. Because when Bitcoin really means business, you don't normally see big pullbacks like that straight away. It's moving like an FX pair or gold, for example. Gold will give you a big breakout and potentially give you a decent pullback. Bitcoin gives you the decent pullbacks, but it's really done a massive exponential move first, which we haven't really done yet. So yeah, I would say that a bigger pullback would be awkward now. Yeah, I remember you were shorting more Bitcoin last week. Maybe I see opportunity. Why not? Yeah. Again, the biggest thing with trades and trading in general is just risk management. Because everything is opportunity. It's opportunity to lose money. It's opportunity to make money. If you can protect your downside, and the opportunity is a good opportunity, then it literally should be you always take them. Because why wouldn't you take a good opportunity? Of course, a good opportunity can still fail, which is why we protect our risk and why we manage our trades. But if a good opportunity, if you take that, over a span of 100,000 trades, you're making money, then you should be looking to take them all day long. Of course, maybe if there's some crazy news coming out or Christmas and the market's going to be slow, you opt not to. That makes sense. But at the end of the day, if you take these trades again and again and again, you do expect to have a positive expectancy. So you want to take those trades. You don't know necessarily which trade's going to play out. Might be the next trade, might be trade after that, might be the trade after that plays out. So as long as you can protect your downside, manage your risk, then I don't really see a reason why not to. Of course, if you're going to be on the low time frames with a 5 pip stop loss and NFP's about to come out, that's a different story because you can manage your risk with that. But at the same time, if you slip very badly, instead of losing 1%, you could lose 5. Yeah, you're not really doing a very good job at managing risk there. So there's that situation to factor in. But if it's nothing like that, then of course, you should be focused on taking those good opportunities. Yeah, that is true. I think that's something to take into consideration as well. It's a good point because when Bitcoin's like $10 and it makes a move to $75, that's a huge increase. But of course, in terms of money wise, it's not that much. $10 to $75. I mean, uh, in terms of value of USD, $10 to 75 is not a big jump. But then 10,000 to 75,000, that's a pretty big move. And especially 100K to 750,000, that's a huge move. So in terms of the jumps, in terms of the percentage, it might be a bit less now because everything is just a bit more meaningful, especially at the 100K mark as well. So we might see the exponential moves of Bitcoins in the bull run be a bit less. I think we have seen that. If I go to the log chart, because the log chart puts everything into perspective, you can see that we are slowing down a little bit. So you can see the first kind of big initial moves, a lot more impulsive, bigger moves there as well. Now coming a little bit slower, and you can see the angle of the moves is a bit more, is less, is it less acute, obtuse? Or was it more acute? Yeah, more acute. Here's like almost 90 degrees, 80 degrees there, 70 degrees, now it's 60, now it's 50. And it's going to be 40, 30. It's going to start to flatten out because we're not going to see as exponential moves anymore as we start approaching some really, really big price points. And the 100K is definitely that level as well. So that's a good point to note out as well. Now we are probably not going to be as bullish as we've been in previous bull runs, just because we're dealing with a lot bigger figures now. It's no longer 10K, it's now 100K. So a 40% increase is massive. Yeah, 2020 pumped 300% before there's any consolidation. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. 300% now, but then after 40% move, it starts to chop up again. I think that could be a natural occurrence we'll see with these big numbers. Start 100K, 150, 200K. I think we'll start to see shorter bursts and not be as crazy. If you look at the log chart which you looked at, it does look like the slope of the moves is not as aggressive anymore. So that's a sign that we're going to be less exponential. I think as it would be as Bitcoin starts to stable, we're not going to keep pumping crazily forever. It'll come to a point where Bitcoin does start to level out a little bit. Of course, we'll probably continue to go up, but it'll be less massive moves as Bitcoin kind of finds its worth, finds its price. Something like gold as well. Gold has big moves as well, but it's a lot more stable. It's not exponential. Gold's not going to do a 40% move in a space of a month. That would be absolutely insane. If you go take a look at gold and look at the percentage move for this year, this year's been crazy for gold. It doesn't happen like this every year. But if I look at the percentage increase for gold since the beginning of the year, which is roughly around here, to the highest point, it was 33.8. But on average, you're probably going to get maybe a 10% increase. But 10% for Bitcoin is nothing. 10% for Bitcoin is can do that in a day very quickly. So, of course, this year's been very bullish, so it does contradict that a little bit. But most of the time, gold's pretty flat. It doesn't move very much. But yeah, with Bitcoin, I do think we'll probably start to stable. I don't know what price that point is going to be. Could be $1 million when it starts to stabilize. But yeah, we might see that happen a lot more now. But it'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin follows gold a lot more as well, if they're kind of linked together or if they oppose. I think as time continues, we'll see a bit more of that relationship. But it's been times where Bitcoin and gold moved in the same direction at the same time for similar reasons. And there's been times where Bitcoin and gold have moved in opposite directions as well. So, but at the moment, gold to me looks pretty bearish. So I do think we'll continue falling. And how is silver looking? That's the wrong broker. Yeah, silver's looking pretty bearish too. So I did say it would be nice if silver was to push a little bit higher, but wow, we're really dropping right now. Is USD very strong? I feel like it is. That looks like a nice sell to me, but we might not get that at this rate. Is dollar pushing hard? Yeah, looks like we're pushing back to start. I'm not going to rule off or rule out that possibility for the retest of this. I think that's still a possibility, even if we come up double top and then sell off late in the week or next week. I think that's still a nice opportunity for a buy to see the next higher low. But yeah, if we were to go and break the high, then that will cause change a lot. If USD was to go and do something like that, then that really does mean business with the buys. And yeah, we'll probably see dollars keep pushing. I'd imagine Euro USD is falling pretty hard. Yeah, to a degree, pushing down pretty hard. Pound USD likewise. Yeah, that one's seeing a lot of downside. It looks like pound might be a bit weaker than euro. If we go take a look at dollar CAD, yep, seeing some upside. Might not get the bigger pullback I'm after there, but still looking very bullish. And of course, your Aussie dollars are probably starting to push down now as well. Yeah, Aussie dollar pushing down, New Zealand dollar pushing down too. So yeah, we are seeing a bit of momentum in fairness. Let's see if that continues into New York. How is the indices doing? I haven't really been keeping an eye on them. Okay, so we did get a nice reaction of that zone. This is the area we spoke about last week. Lovely area of resistance. Originally, of course, price broke through and then turned to support. Really nice reaction there last week. But yeah, I did say because of this aggressive move, it does look like things are changing now for US 100. So even though price is still respecting structure, you're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. I am still a little bit skeptical if price is going to just steadily move back to highs like nothing just happened. A move like that is more of a sign that, okay, we could be topping out to push back down or have a deeper pullback. Similar to US 30's case, because US 30 had a really aggressive sell-off. And of course, that broke structure very aggressively. And now it looks like it's retesting structure there too. So with US 30, I actually do favor more downside now because we broke structure. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what that is. Let me look at different broker. So yeah, but yeah, it's the same thing. Is price is broken through structure. This was a high low. Price broke through that to the upside, then broke back below again. So now I do think with US 30, we're going to have a bigger correction now. Still very bullish, of course, but we may see a bit of a bearish trend form. And who knows how deep it will be before seeing the next high low. Maybe if I whip out the fib from the low to the high here, maybe push back to the 50, maybe even tag the high here. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. 36.9, 37K is a real possibility. So yeah, I do think a bigger correction will form now. We've broken structure. That is not what you want to see as a buyer. So pullbacks more downside. And if I flip over to S&P, this one big sell-off, it did pinch structure, but it wasn't a solid break. But I do think even with that anyway, probably will form a lower high and push back down. Again, really aggressive move. It's not your typical retracement. You know, if you look at prior retracements, even this one had a bit of momentum, but it was still fairly corrective. Didn't really, you know, outweigh that impulse leg there. You want to see corrective moves, not like this. You could argue that this impulse here was pretty corrective, and now this impulse to the upside was pretty corrective, and now we're seeing impulse and moves to the downside. So not aligning with what you want to see in terms of the characteristics of a healthy trend. So now we're getting strong impulse to the downside, breaking through lows there. I do think a lower high has a good chance of forming, and seeing more downside is likely as well. So it does look like indices are switching directions, at least the US indices as well. Some of the other indices didn't have such, well, some did. The DAX had a pretty big sell, but it's coming back to some nice support and we're slowing down. UK 100 had a pretty big sell as well. Having a little bit of a reaction. So I think this is still a decent buy, unless we're to break through that. But yeah, mainly with the US indices, I do think more downside is probably what we're going to see now. So yeah, keep an eye on that for the indices. I mean, I'll be looking to trade more US 30 in the new year. So it's going to be interesting with that. Maybe we start with a bit of a bearish market. Wow, I did not know that. First time in 50 years the Dow's had 10 bearish days in a row. Wow. That is insane. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, damn. Yeah, I did spot that at the time, and I did say it's quite ironic that we've seen consecutive bearish days there. And that didn't know it was the first time in 50 years, though. That's insane. But yeah, I don't think that is such a big deal. I don't think that's such a big deal. Um, I mean, it is a big deal because it hasn't happened in 50 years, so it's not a common situation. But I think the significant thing, even if we had a couple bullish candles here, I think the significant thing here is the break of structure here. So that's really made me think that okay, US 30 is probably going to keep selling. If we had the 10 bearish candles, 10 daily bearish candles in a row, but still respect the structure, then I wouldn't be so concerned with that. Yes, it's a big phenomenon because we haven't done it in ages. But yeah, not a lot I can do with that. But now that we've broken structure, yeah, that means something. Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't really mean much. Just the interesting stat, very interesting stat. But I mean, it means that the bearish pressure has picked up a lot because in 50 years we haven't sustained that for 10 days, but this time we have sustained it for 10 days. So it's a sign that okay, the sellers are starting to really pick up the pressure. But that's about it really, because for 10 days we're bearish and then maybe the next 5 were bullish. Who knows? But the key thing is structures breaking. So that tells me a sell is likely to come after this. Yeah, true. Especially when such a strong. Yeah, that's actually a good point because you would expect in a nice corrective bearish market, like maybe maybe something over here in this kind of bearish phase, or doesn't go far back enough, but at least maybe when it's something like this, when we're strongly aggressive to the upside, then we see price sell off. Yeah, it's a sign that I think the battle between buyers and sellers is shifting a little bit. Buyers backing off, sellers winning the battle a little bit. So yeah, I do think we'll probably see some more downside for the indices. I'm not too sure if we've had a big enough pullback though. I know things are looking pretty bearish now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do push up one more time, maybe to go and tag this area here. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but yeah, it does look like more downside is likely with these boys. I think US 30 looks the best because we actually broken structure though. But yeah, they all move the same most of the time, not all the time. So I do expect them all to fall. But my main focus with USD is definitely more upside. It looks like that is the way price is likely to push into. And this was the plan this week, more downside into that area than the buy. But we might not do that since we're looking very bullish. But it does look like with USD, I'm going to be very bullish on. Yen, I'm going to be very bearish on. And CHF, I'm going to be very bullish on. So for those markets, that's kind of my thinking. And then of course, you've got some of the crosses, but the crosses aren't looking particularly great. I mean, pound Aussie, pound Aussie, and pound NZD, not too bad. Really nice breaks to the upside, more or less healthy pullbacks. I think some buys could look good with these ones, especially pound NZD. I'd say that was the one that's looking the more clean. Really nice break to the upside. There's some nice levels here for a retest. I think that looks like a nice buy there. Possibly take it back to the high and maybe beyond that as well, but a very comfortable uptrend. If I go to Euro NZD, yeah, this one's not looking as great because I'm pretty sure we're testing the high of that channel there of the range. So not the best place to buy, but of course, if we do break out, then you can look to take some buys back into 1.86525. But at the same time, this is actually not a bad place for a sell. I wouldn't look to hold on to the sell for too long, but retest of this area looks pretty realistic. If you can break through that range down the lower time frames, maybe some shorts below that will look good. And then if I scoot to Euro Aussie, yeah, I actually like Euro Aussie because we've broken through some key resistance on the daily chart. So now I'm expecting price to push back to the high here, which is at 1.7. So I think there's a lot more upside there for Euro Aussie. But we need to stay above this area though. So if we can respect that, hold that structure, see the next high low, which we've been so consistent with, 2, 3, 4. That is very much the plan. But yeah, not my favorite at all in terms of opportunities. All right, take care. More. Have a good one, man. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful week as well. Appreciate you tuning in. But yeah, not a big fan of the crosses, so I'm not going to be so focused on them. My attention will be with CHF, Yen, and USD. And again, most of the time, that's really where my attention is. Only sometimes I drift over to some of the crosses, like Euro Aussie, Euro Pound, maybe Pound NZD. Sometimes they look good, but in terms of the bigger moves, in terms of the conditions that I tend to form well in, is when the markets are trending, and that's normally what you get with the yen, CHF pairs, and USD pairs. Although USD pairs do have times where they're a bit more corrective, there's always one trending USD pair. There's always one trending most of the time. So that's where my focus will lie. But yeah, definitely Euro Pound. Not really interested in this one. I know it's at a place where we could potentially really fly off, but it's been so slow, and I'm waiting for more evidence before I do think about buys, because we could definitely reverse here. But yeah, I need to see a lot more break shot to the upside from some higher lows, and then maybe I can find some buys later on. So something like that could look good. And then in terms of Aussie New Zealand dollar, I think this one's currently ranging at the moment. Equal highs there, equal lows. So not bad shorts at the high, to be honest. But yeah, this is really where I want to get involved. Retest some areas down here, find some buys, take that to the upside. That looks like a nice swing opportunity where I can really find some entries and hopefully take it back to the highs there. So something like that would interest me. But yeah, we're nowhere near there. So no need to try and keep an eye on it and just keep my focus where it needs to be. But maybe some shorts and then some longs later on can look good. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with those pairs. Main focus will, of course, be managing pound CHF. That's really where my focus lies. And then, of course, hopefully I can find some additional entries to really milk the opportunity. But first, we need to break out that range first. I haven't closed any profits yet. I will do that when we get to the lower and break even, so there's no risk on the table. So it's just up the price if it wants to continue. Going to keep a close line on Aussie CHF and New Zealand CHF. I'm seeing a lot more downside for these two pairs, well, CHF pairs in general, but they look good. So Aussie CHF, hopefully you can find some entries there. New Zealand CHF, that pair as well. Pretty much the same move, so keep an eye on both of them. And of course, I really like New Zealand, not New Zealand yen, sorry, USD JPY for some buys. Looking very bullish at the moment, so kind of hoping we don't fly off without me. It'd be nice if we can have some pullbacks. 154 looks like a great zone. Find some entries and take it back to the high. And of course, dollar CAD looking very, very good. Just need to wait for some pullbacks for that one as well. So yeah, guys, that kind of does bring us to the end of the stream. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Like I said, I am live every Tuesday, Wednesday, every weekday. I don't know why I skipped out Monday there. I'm live every weekday, so make sure you go check it out from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. But guys, really do appreciate you tuning in. Have a great holiday. It's Christmas Eve tomorrow and Christmas Day after, so I do wish everyone a Christmas that celebrates that, of course, and spend some time with the family. Take some time off the charts; they're not going anywhere. The market's probably going to be pretty slow anyway, so I need to try and force anything. Appreciate it, Ben. Merry Christmas to everyone, as always. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, leave a like if you enjoy this stream. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everyone who has done that. It does really help out. But guys, take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one.